this series while I can, while I have a chance, because life just gets super busy. The sun just came in on my eyes. So I've been doing these series of vlogs like at every minute I possibly can. It's just I've had to take little breaks in between, and being a full-time mom and life just happens, you guys.
Yeah.
We're gonna start a little class time with a little tiny assignment from the Sunday school teacher. So we're gonna try to attempt to do that real quick before much of our day continues. Okay, so this is kind of cool because this is something that our amazing lady from our kids Sunday school class, she hands these papers out every week. I have not been so faithful to finish every one of her assignments, but there's day one. So we do day one, day two, and then in the back there's day three, day four. And it's just one little reading assignment. And it's just so awesome because October, and she puts K through 5th grade on here, and then the date October and the year. And so I guess we're on week 2. I'm guessing because this is what she has on the paper. But it has, for the very top, the title part, it says, "Grit is refusing to give up when life gets hard." Oh man, I feel like this goes along with my vlog, so I'm going to just go with it. So I'll have to read it to you guys at some point. So I am just here with my little guy down here. He's crawling around. And we're enjoying all the crawling today. So I just wanted to share in my ongoing thought here about the kind of legacy that we have an opportunity to leave with our children, and the kind of person that we get to be as a result of showing up. And I feel like showing up is such a big part of mommyhood, because there's so much that has gone into this season of my life, as far as our move up here, and then going through the loss of my mom, and then working through the grieving process of that loss, and then just the loss of the home that I really loved, and what that meant to me. Even though there was so many little problems that we had to contend with while we were in our old home, there was still other beautiful blessings that we had received while being there, like a large backyard, and just we had made some really good neighbor friends. And gosh, I just love the word grit, because I remember finding out that we had to hurry up and get out of the house because the landlord wanted us out. She literally was just came over one day at random and said, "Okay, get out." And it was like, what? I mean, I had an idea it was coming because I had been praying, God, move us to an even larger home in an even larger territory, and I had been praying that. And I just remember the night that I prayed that. I walked into my little baby boy's room. He was my second son, and I'm just there nursing him, and I'm praying, and I'm talking to God in his room, and I'm like, "God, it's time for a move. It's time for us to prepare a new season. It's time for us to have more in our life than what we have now." And even though I love this home so much, I even told God, please don't listen to this prayer. Don't even listen to what I'm saying. Ignore everything I'm telling you right now, because I'm just sharing my heart, but I don't want you to move me. I know that I want more. I know that I'm looking for more. I know that I want more out of life, but don't move me. Don't do that right now. Do it later. Later down the road, but we are going to need more space. And so I did not expect, literally a few weeks later, there's a knock on my door, and the lady that owns the house that we rented from, the landlady, she's knocking on my door, and she's like, "Get out!" She was so blunt and so harsh and so rude. It just my heart dropped, and it was oh man. And so right away, I thought, what am I gonna do to save this house? What can I do? And I was praying over it, and I was like, you know what? So I went to work to find out what it was gonna be Like, what was it going to cost me to fix the roof, to get better insulation, to fix all the plumbing? Like, I was getting estimates left and right. Like, I was like, I'm going to do my numbers. I'm going to crunch my numbers. I was talking to my dad. I was like, what is it going to take for me to buy this house from her so that I don't have to move, so I don't have to leave? And the more that I did my homework, the more that I recognized, like, this is getting so over the top expensive. Like, this house is not, like, I'm literally going to be digging my grave with how expensive all of these fixer-upper things are really actually going to cost me. And I realized, like, you might as well tear the house down to make it what you really are going to ultimately need it to be. And so when push came to shove and everything that I did, all the penciling that we did, it wasn't penciling out. And it just came to our hearts and minds that, you know what, this is really not where God wants us. And this is really what I've been praying for. Like, God, I really do want to move. But I did not expect a move to come so soon. And so here we are. And gosh, it's not easy to find joy when you're in the process of losing something that you really did love very much. And you're like, where am I going to find joy in the process of this loss? How am I going to get my joy? And then moving up here, there's so many just emotions of, like, I've literally been shoved out of the house I love and shoved into a place that is so far from home for me, literally feeling like it's the middle of nowhere. And it's like, God, how do I find my joy? Where do I find my joy? But I had to learn, and the Lord had to show me that you don't have joy in a home. You don't have joy in stuff. The joy of the Lord is your strength. So I found my joy in Jesus. I found my joy in who He is in my heart. And so, so when you're a mom of 3, like I was, now I'm a mom of 4, you have to show up for your children, even in the midst of loss, even in the midst of pain, even in the midst of struggle, even in the midst of things not going the way that you imagined that they would, even in the midst of trying to run a business. You have to show up for your children. I've learned so much. And then also not having my own kitchen, not having my own house, not having my own place to call my own, having none of that, not having a classroom to set up in of my own at home as a homeschool mom and teacher, having to do everything in such a way that, okay, we're gonna just work out of our binders, like wherever, like my whole thing is, where there's a will, there's a way. So find a way. Even if you feel like you can't find it at the moment, God will always show you how to do it better. So finding the joy of the Lord and making that your strength, that is so, just so important, because our children need us. And they need us to be the grace and love of God, and they need us to show up in a big way. And they need us to empower them to be who it is that God has called them to be.